That is Anthony Albanese at the G7, and you got to say the outcome there, the best case scenario is that was able to meet with some of Trump's economic team, including Scott Bessent there, as to questions whether he got a phone call from Trump, how he found out the meeting wasn't happened. Well, he was quite guarded in those answers as well, but I think it's pretty clear that he didn't get a phone call, and he's just had to read the room on that one. Let's bring in Andrew Clennell briefly before he heads home, or at least gets on a bus of sorts. Andrew Clennell, the quick takeaways from that media conference we saw from the Prime Minister and how successful this overall visit has been?
Oh, this visit's a failure, and it's not Anthony Albanese's fault that it's a failure, Laura, but I think that's pretty clear. He mostly came here, as I've been reporting for days, to meet Donald Trump, to have that first meeting. Now, even the Mexican presidents had a phone call with Donald Trump after not securing the meeting or today, should I say, because Donald Trump went home early. We just don't have that sort of connection yet. I mean, look, it's something of a small consolation prize to have these talks with US officials. It shows some level of respect. But essentially, unless you're talking to Trump, you ain't in the game. And Don Farrell, the Trade Minister, was on Sunday Agenda the other day, and one of his answers to me was, look, Jamison Greer says positive things about what I've got to say on tariffs, but he says ultimately it's up to the President, and that tells you everything you need to know. So I think there's a lot of pressure on Anthony Albanese now. You know, he's been taken down a peg after that massive election victory. Hasn't felt a lot of pressure in recent times at all, that's fair to say, but he's under pressure to get this meeting and to get this very important alliance to make sure it's secure. It is absolutely integral to Australia's defence, among other things. And, you know, you're more likely to perhaps get that than you are to get a win on the tariffs. But look, he came here to cosy up to Donald Trump. He ended up cozying up to the EU and had a very brief meeting with Keir Starmer. It's not the result the Prime Minister was looking at, no matter how much he tries to sugarcoat it or try and dismiss it as not that big a deal. The other point I want to make to you, which I think is quite interesting, Laura, was just something I've observed here, including when I went to the bilat with the EU and even Keir Starmer, but more with the EU. Kevin Rudd was sitting next to Anthony Albanese. Now, that could be because there isn't a foreign minister or other ministers with him, but it's quite clear that Kevin Rudd is a major force in the Australian government foreign policy and is a major force in trying to secure this meeting. So his reputation's on the line as much as anything when it comes to this. He's got a big role in terms of this government, in terms of advising the PM on foreign policy, and that became clear on this trip. Yeah, and we got crumbs out of this G7 meeting, you got to say, Andrew. Thanks so much for jumping on and giving us your analysis. We'll speak later. Thanks so much.